You don't need confidence, you don't need lines, you don't even need alcohol. In this video, you will see how a 34-year-old economist went from avoiding strangers to confidently approaching women and making real connections in just 3 days of in-person coaching in London. And the uncomfortable truth, what he changed had nothing to do what he said. Hello everybody, I am here today with Jordan. We are here in Great Britain, better said, in London, England. And I'm very happy that he is here with me today. We are working together for some time now, coaching him, showing him a little bit about the tricks, how to build a social circle, but also very important, how to improve the communication with people, women, guys, just to know how to connect with people in general. And also to learn some tricks, and that's why he came out to London, or that's why I came out to London for a little in-person experience for a few days in order to improve the skills, to reach a next level, and also to have a fun time, I would say. And welcome. I'm happy that you're here for this short interview. And to start out, can you quickly introduce yourself, where you live, your age, and what you do professionally?
Hi Julian, good to be here. I live in Abu Dhabi in the UAE, though originally from the UK. It's partly why we met here. I'm 34 and I'm an economist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. Before we jump in, how did you actually came to me? How did you, decide to work together with me? How can you tell a little bit about the background, how all started?
Yeah, like most things, I met you through a friend who had also worked with you in the past. So someone from my university days, and that was over the summer. At that point in my life, I wanted to work more on improving the social side of my life. I've always been quite a social person, but there are various things to improve and try different things. And my friend who, our mutual friend, he had a very high praise for you and shared a lot of very interesting stories, and it really seemed like you were a great person to work with, and that's what then led me to you.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Thank you. And how would you describe your situation before you started the mentorship program?
Yeah, in the past, I have this typical British lifestyle where we drink a lot of alcohol and we do a lot of binge drinking in this country. And as I got older, I wanted to move away from that and build more meaningful connections and, actually remember what you did when you go out. And those are very, very different skill set. And yeah, that's what I wanted to work on. Also, as you get older through life, it becomes more challenging to meet new people, especially if you don't drink, because then, that central point around bars and clubs, if you don't have this, and couple that with, I recently moved to Abu Dhabi, and building a circle there of friends and so on can be quite challenging. So a lot of these were the motivations to, build this new life, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely like a big point when you move into making new friends, or let's say from old friends to new friends into new circles. So everything is new. And I think in this area, when you start out, it's very important that you learn the right conversation skills, and that you're learning again how to connect with people if you haven't been used to do it in a long period of time. And what would you say were then the biggest struggles you had with approaching people or connecting with women before we started?
Yeah, the main challenge, the thing I always struggled with was the initial approach or connection. Once I would get to know people, or friends of friends, or in these environments where you naturally meet people, then it's fine. I'm quite outgoing and social, so this is all fine. But yeah, talking to strangers can be tough. This obviously is very important for meeting women if you don't want to use dating apps and so on. But also just, you go to an event and trying to make new friends there, this can be challenging. I would still do it to some extent, but certainly not as much as I think I would want to do. And looking back, you notice this and you think, life could be so much more if you were to face these fears and still do it, and build your just meet more people, I think. Yeah, and this also ties in with work as well, because networking is a big component of my job, and it's the same skill set, right? Just meeting new people, and there I probably perform better, but I think there's still a lot of room for improvement. Yeah, mainly this, like the initial component.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And what I'm curious also is you mentioned like a mutual friend that recommended me to you in order to start this. Did you have like the realization, okay, you need help from outside, or did you say, hey, I'm also can try it alone, or what? Then you make actually then the decision to invest into a mentorship to see it's better. You have somebody also in terms of doing it a faster way than figuring out all alone.
Yeah, it wasn't planned. When I spoke with my friends, it came up incidentally, really, and it wasn't in my head to find a coach or a mentor in these things, and I thought I would figure it out on my own. But after speaking with my friends and what he told me about you, and to those listening, you need to hear some of Julian's stories and experiences, and they're very compelling, right? It really, to me, when speaking with my friends, that's what really convinced me this would be a good investment, because clearly, just speaking with you as well, you can't make this up, right? Like, you clearly know what you're doing, you have lots of experience, and I felt like I could learn a lot from you, and much more efficiently than if you do it on your own, like with most things. So the way I came into it, I didn't really have it planned. It's, speak to me before the summer, I would not have said this is where I was going. Yeah. And then it just happened, and it's been, a great experience.
Okay. And now we are together in London, specifically to work on communication skills and to being a more magnetic, also knowing how to approach in terms of, and not always important what to say, more about the how and the right body language and so on. Especially now coming to the in-person, of course, we are working a couple of weeks, but it was like all online. And then, of course, I told you about the opportunity that we can actually meet in person and work together. It just live meeting up, us going out there to different places and putting in the work, approaching people and connecting with them. What surprised you the most about the let's say in-person training this week since we met? So we just for background, so we are the third day today, so we have 2 days already training after us, and today's the third day, will be a special one. But the first 2 days, what surprised you the most about the training this week in person?
I don't know if I would say surprise, but certainly it's very different to training online, and not comparable, really. I think the progress you can make in person is much greater. Maybe I'm surprised to some extent how much greater that is, like how much more valuable it is doing it in person. To be a bit more concrete, when you coach online, you really need someone to hold you accountable and just push you to do it anyway, because a lot of this stuff, it's really just facing the fear and doing it anyway, and you realize you're still alive afterwards, and it's all fine, right? So there should be no reason not to do it, but you just need someone to just give you that push. And that has helped massively. I think the progress we made over the past 2 days has probably been more than the previous weeks combined, right? And so I guess that's been surprising, just how much more progress you can make in person. Another reason, not just the accountability aspect, but having you there to give real-time feedback and advice, and just spending time with you as well, just to talk more about the whole method, which you can get a bit online as well. So that one you can get there, but in total, it's just been incredibly valuable.
And out of these 2 days, what would you say was your biggest breakthrough in this experience?
That's a good question. I think the thing that's probably the thing that's stuck with me the most so far is, maybe it shouldn't come as a surprise to myself, really, because it's what you always say, which is body language is key, and it's more important than what you say. But doing this training with you in person, I now understand much more what you mean by that body language. Like when you would give advice online, you say, open body, like warm, like these types of things. But now it's very concrete what that means. And I was not quite seeing it that way before. I understood it in one way, but now I have a much better sense. And so I think that's a big change. And moving forward, it's something that I'm gonna stick with and obviously keep working on. But that's probably one of the biggest changes to what I was doing before to what I'm doing now.
Yeah, that's super great. And I think especially, of course, the one thing is going out there, approaching people, going to the different places and get the in life, or let's say in person direct feedback. Then the other thing is then after you have done approach, or for example you talk to women and then breaking it down afterwards while we maybe walk to the next location or walk to the next place we wanted to go, and then discussing the concepts and then giving feedback based on an, like you mentioned, real life example what just happened a few minutes ago, and it's like still very warm in your head, so you can really talk about it and also remember everything, versus you are meeting online on a call a week later and you're trying to go over the situation. Of course, you can do field reports, you can make notes, which are very relevant, and I recommend everybody doing it, but I think it's still like a different level if you are there and you exactly are back in the moment. And at some point even you can get in-person feedback right away, and you can just go and you can just adapt quickly and go into the next conversation and apply what you just got feedback, or you just send you back and in order to get Instagram contact details. Oh, we are still here in the place exactly. Now you go back because you didn't finish the conversation probably, and just reopen the person you talked to in order to stay in touch. I think that was very, that's very, very then hands-on. And how did your confidence then change during these 2 days? When you remember like then on the first day, maybe the first approach, I think it was I don't remember who was the first approach, but let's say, how did your confidence then change from the first into the second day?
What I do remember is before the first day being distinctly worried about what it is you might make me do. Partly because of what my mutual friend would tell me, some of the stories. But as you go through you practice more, and then, that goes very quickly, immediately. The anxiety and this fear, you just realize it's all in your head, which you kind of know anyway, but then you really know it once you actually do these things. And so even after the first hour or so on the first day, at that point, it becomes quite easy. It becomes almost natural. You still get a bit of hesitation, but a very clear difference. Yeah, and then the second day, it's more fun, I suppose, and you become a bit more excited about it. Yeah, so there's a big change, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, with only like quick changes, especially when you are starting out, especially when the number one fear of guys is to approach women. And especially when you start out and realize, like you're saying, you are still alive, nothing really will happen if you say hello to somebody or say hello to an attractive woman. And then the progress can be very fast in the beginning, because it's okay, this fear, you can just go over there and say something and nothing happens. Even somebody else is hearing you talking to somebody, nothing happens. You go out of the store, or you go out of the bar, or you go out of the place, and you are still there, and maybe you're sweating a little bit because it was a little bit nerve wracking, but it doesn't really happen. And then the growth curve is like very very fast, because you realize, oh, you can do it. And if you have then somebody that pushes you in the situation of actually doing it, and I think that's a big realization. Is there like one moment or one specific moment you will never forget? Maybe there's something you can share with us.
Okay. Probably the things that stand out, because what you realize is when you start just getting past that limitation you set in your mind, then you can really meet anyone. And take girls, for instance. You see attractive women all the time and you never meet them, right? Like you see them around, maybe, you have a friend of a friend or something, and maybe you meet an attractive woman that way, or, a high quality woman, or someone you would want to be with. But you're really just flipping a coin at this point, right? If you leave it to like just chance. And through this training, what stands out is you just realize you don't need to leave it to chance anymore, right? You can just go up. And some of the instances we had, where I would go and speak to women that you would never normally meet, and they respond quite positively or friendly, and it's a little surprising at first, even, right? Like, because what are just people too, and often they can be quite happy to talk, and maybe other people are not doing this as much, at least not in these days. So that really stands out. Like, sometimes you get really negative receptions, and like sometimes some people I'll speak to just freaked out, and they really just are not interested, and that's fine as well. And this is just normal from what Julian tells me. But sometimes it goes really well, and that's surprising, and those things, very encouraging and motivate you to keep working on it, and they stick with me.
I think that's a very, very good one. And also when you apply something regarding body language, which you probably haven't heard that much before, and then you realize that people actually react differently to you if you use the right body language. And there was like one approach, or let's say several approach. One was like with good body language, the other with, let's say, body language you can hardly improve. Let's call it like this. Did you feel the difference, how it can make, instead of focusing on the things you're actually saying, like then be magnetic? Like magnetic communication means 70% body language. Did you feel the difference there?
Yeah, one thing that clearly stands out in my mind is that, what you say really doesn't matter, because all the time, the way I would open to someone would be the same, right? I mean, sometimes you comment on like some situational thing, or there can be some of them, but often it's just something very generic and what we believe will not work, right? You just say, hi, how are you, or where are you from, or something like that. And so even though you're always opening with the same thing, sometimes their response can be very good or very bad. So it's definitely not what you're saying that determines this, but the thing that was changing over the time was the body language. And why doing this in person was so good was because obviously you can spot this very easily. And even when you say it, right, like a number of times you would say, oh, you're doing this, and that's probably why they're getting like startled or something, because that would sometimes happen, right? You catch someone off guard, and you want it to be smoother than that. But so the body language really matters, it seemed like, and probably the ones that went best were the ones that the body language was, as you would describe, like being more open and in the right way. And having you there was instrumental for that, because even when you say it, I would keep doing it wrong, but then a few times you point it out, and then you start realizing,
and then you just starting to adapt, and also starting to change it, and you immediately see the different reaction. And why should you then change something again? And then it's just like a habit of putting in the reps, doing it over and over, and then slowly kind of change a little habit in order to have a better body language. And then it just switches completely. I think that's always like a big realization when I go out with guys and show them, or also give them maybe a little demonstration. Like, for example, like we can talk like some girls in front of a restaurant, and I had like a good conversation, and I was really trying to demonstrate, okay, the body language, but also paired with the right communication of not being, I would say just having fun. That's like a good thing. If you have the mindset, okay, that's all fun. I always mention a little bit a matrix, but it's like a little bit more a fun thing. But we are here to enjoy it. It should enjoy. It should make fun, and of course, like you go over the fear. But like you mentioned a little bit earlier, okay, if it actually then it's not that bad, and actually it's enjoyable. And how will you change then your life now from going forward? Okay, we have another session today. How do you think you will move on with this?
The main thing is what you always say, I think, which is to keep putting the reps in, to keep practicing this. And because if you don't, you're just gonna, have to start again, right? And you're gonna lose it. And so that's the plan, to find opportunities just to just work on this more. And maybe at some point in the future we do this again, even because what I found, I think, for others who would be interested in working with Julian, the in-person, really, well, we will see, right? We'll see how I am after these 3 days if I have a noticeable change. But so far it seems like the in-person has been really worth it, and I would recommend that opportunity if you have that. The online coaching is good too. I think at the beginning, from my own experience, this initial barrier of just getting past, the fear of just initiating conversations with people, doing this in person has been so much more effective than doing it online. Yeah, and so now taking this moving forward, I hope to keep building on it under your guidance.
Yeah, I think consistency is a very big one, especially in nowadays. You need to put in, of course, the reps, the time, but at some point you reach a level and then, of course, your effort goes down. But until you reach a level, consistency is very important. And you already mentioned a little bit, okay, what you would say to somebody that is thinking about joining my mentorship or coming out for an in-person session. I always call this a magnetic communication session, because that's what it always is. Like we talk a lot about the body language, but you get also some starters with you a little bit, but then a lot of drills. And what would you tell to somebody that is on the fence to invest into a mentorship or in an in-person session with me?
I think the value of having someone else there, especially who knows what they're doing, to help push you, is very high. Even if you have the motivation to do it yourself, which I feel like I did. I was really committed to improving this aspect of my life. Most other things in my life are in a pretty good place, but this aspect, more recently has declined. When I was younger, it was all good, but I was like in a different stage of my life, like drinking a lot, stuff like this. But now that side of my life, I really wanted to work on. And so over the past few months, when I've been trying to do this, it can be difficult, because it's really helpful to have someone hold you accountable. I would put the hours in to try and practice these things, but it wouldn't always be that successful. Like I would still meet people and go out and these things, but I think having someone there to push you is really valuable. So, and then finding someone who's legitimate and good at this, right? And so I think with Julian, I can certainly vouch for his capability on this, just like my friend did to me. So I think you're a great person to know and to help work on these things with.
Yeah, thanks so much. Appreciate it, and I do my best to put you in the most uncomfortable situations possible. So that's also fun for me. And to wrap this up, if you want to know more about how a mentorship, how an in-person session can look like, let me know. You can hit me up on Instagram, mainly DM me, and of course we can go over your situation and see if it would be a fit. I mean, if you are successful, you have a career, but you are stuck in your social life, I think that would be the right things for you to change. And this could be a start of an amazing journey. And I'm here to guide you all the way. So I talk to you soon. And thank you, Jordan, for the great feedback. And now we are going out for the third session and keep conquering London, I would say.
Yes, and on this day, the worry is the first day the stories I heard where you would make the people you would work with do, now those worries are gone. I know that there's going to be good challenges ahead, but yeah, I feel much better about it and looking forward to the last day.
All right, thanks and see you soon.